and legends were born. Bihar not just a state, but a cradle of civilization, revolution, and wisdom. From the world's first democracy in Vaishali to Buddha's enlightenment in Bodh Gaya, it is the birthplace of Lord Mahavir, Guru Gobind Singh, Chanakya, Aryabhat, and Vatsyayana. Nalanda and Vikramshila universities thrived here long before in Oxford existed. It was here that Veer Kunwar Singh led the 1857 revolt against the British. It was here again in 1917. Mahatma Gandhi lit the fires of the first Satyagraha in Champaran. Even George Orwell, author of Animal Farm, was born here. And yes, India's first president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, was proudly Bihari. Bihar is not just a state, it is but a legacy. But Bihar's glorious past today lies in a present that is struggling. Despite its fertile lands, agrarian indebtedness traps its people in cycles of acute poverty. Malnutrition and starvation persists in many districts, especially amongst children and marginalized communities. Lack of industrialization has stifled employment opportunities, pushing migration to other states. Development remains uneven, and Bihar's potential is too often lost in systematic neglect and policy failures. I am Bihar, and this is my story. In the decades after 1947, Bihar produced some of India's most influential political minds. Agrarian movements, land struggles, and students' protest challenged the status quo and questioned the dominance of the Indian National Congress. Leaders like Jayaprakash Narayan and Ram Manohar Lohia molded and shaped India's first non-Congress political space here. Bihar became the epicenter of the total revolution, led by JP against Indira Gandhi's emergency in the 1970s. This movement birthed a new generation of leaders: Lalu Prasad Yadav, Nitish Kumar, Sushil Modi, Ramvilas Paswan, and many others, who would come to dominate Bihar's political landscape. Before 1990, Bihar was not just another Indian state. It was a crucible of political thought, social unrest, and leadership churn. The political ground beneath India's democracy was beginning to shift, and the tremors were felt strongest in Bihar. Two competing ideas of India clashed head-on in 1990, setting off a string of events that would shape the country's politics in years to come. In August 1990, Prime Minister VP Singh announced the implementation of the Mandal Commission recommendations. This, in one stroke, gave 27% reservation in central government jobs and educational institutes for other backward classes, aimed at correcting centuries of caste-based discrimination. This decision led to immediate backlash in many urban and upper caste pockets of India. Enter Bihar's newly elected Chief Minister Lalu Yadav, the Mandal Revolution's natural torchbearer, himself an OBC leader. Lalu saw in Mandal a chance to reverse the dominance of upper caste in both power and perception. Lalu quickly positioned himself as the champion of the Mandal cause, aggressively promoting the rights of OBCs, Dalits and minorities. His politics drew from the legacy of socialist leaders like Jayaprakash Narayan and Karpuri Thakur, but he added his own rustic style and direct rural appeal and rhetorical populism. But across northern India, protests erupted, largely led by upper caste students and youth who saw Mandal as a threat to merit and opportunity. In cities like Patna, Allahabad and Delhi, self-immolations, violent demonstrations and political resignations filled the headlines. What catapulted Lalu to the national stage was a bold high-stake move. On September 25, 1990, L.K. Advani, the BJP's most prominent face at the time, launched a Rath Yatra from Somnath in Gujarat to Ayodhya, demanding the construction of a Ram temple on the site of the Babri Masjid. Advani's Yatra was more than just religious symbolism. It was political mobilization. Dressed in saffron, the Yatra cut across hundreds of towns and villages, igniting the Hindu nationalist sentiment. But it never reached Ayodhya. On October 23, 1990, in Samastipur, Bihar, Lalu ordered the arrest of Advani.
हम अपने राज्य में मतलब दंगा फसाद को फैलने नहीं देंगे। जहां फैलाने का नाम लिया और जहां बवेला खड़ा करने का नाम लिया तो फिर हमारे साथ चाहे राज रहे या राज चला जाए, हम इस पर कोई समझौता करने वाले नहीं हैं।
The arrest was hailed by secular forces but also sparked anger amongst BJP supporters, triggering riots in several parts of the country. Lalu's rustic, unpolished, unfiltered style deeply resonated with Bihar's marginalized. His rise after Mandal and Mandir was not just about policy or events. It was about timing, it was about instinct, it was about political courage. In the months that followed, Lalu Yadav's political image was transformed. Amongst OBCs and Dalits, he became a hero. Someone who stood up for their dignity through Mandal and resisting upper caste dominance in politics and society. Among secular liberals, he was seen as a bulwark against communalism. And amongst Muslims, deeply anxious about the rising tide of Hindutva, Lalu's act of stopping Advani was seen as a gesture of protection and solidarity. This created the core of what would become his enduring vote base, the MY, Muslim Yadav Combine. By 1995 assembly elections, Lalu's popularity was unshakable. His party won a majority of his own, securing 167 seats in the 324-member Bihar Assembly then. And while Lalu's second term began with even stronger control over the party and the state machinery, the jubilation was short-lived. This phase also saw increasing accusation of lawlessness, cronyism, administrative breakdown, which gave rise to the term Jungle Raj. In 1996, the 950 crore fodder scam came to light. The scandal had been simmering since the late 80s, exploding nationally when the CBI directly named Lalu in its charge sheet in early 1997. This triggered a political crisis and there was growing demand that he resign as chief minister. In a bold and strategic move, Lalu split the Janata Dal in the July of 1997 and formed a new party, the Rashtriya Janata Dal. A majority of JD MLAs followed him, ensuring he retained control over the Bihar government. When legal pressure forced him to step down as CM, he appointed his wife, Rabri Devi, a political novice, as chief minister in July 1997. The Rabri Devi appointment was seen by critics as a proxy arrangement, allowing Lalu to wield power from behind the scenes. But for his supporters, it was projected as the rise of a common woman, further reinforcing his pro-poor, anti-elite image.
पहली बार मुख्यमंत्री बनने के बाद कैसा लग रहा है? जो लग रहा है बताइए, कोई बात नहीं। खुशी है ना? खुशी है, कैसा है, क्या लग रहा है?
As Lalu battled scandals and held on to power, another historic change was underway. On November 15, 2000, Bihar was bifurcated and the new state of Jharkhand was carved out, comprising its southern mineral-rich districts. The split was decades in the making, driven by tribal movements that demanded self-rule, protection of their identity. For Bihar, the impact was seismic. The state lost nearly 45% of its landmass and most of its mineral wealth, including coal, iron ore, and steel hubs. What remained was a poorer, agrarian Bihar, dependent almost entirely on agriculture and remittances. Lalu, once the undisputed king of a vast Bihar, now had a shrunken stage and fewer resources to placate allies and fuel patronage politics. The bifurcation sharpened the perception of Bihar as India's most backward state. While Jharkhand became synonymous with mines, industry, tribal assertion, Bihar was left battling poverty, migration, caste conflict, and the weight of Bimaru stigma. Over time, Lalu's grip began to weaken. Corruption scandals, criminalization of politics, and poor governance led to growing urban and upper caste disenchantment. Law and order deteriorated, and Bihar's economic stagnation worsened. The BJP under Atal Bihari Vajpayee was rising nationally, and Nitish Kumar, once Lalu's ally, was positioning himself as a credible alternative in Bihar. Despite this, Lalu continued to win elections thanks to a loyal caste support, but his aura of invincibility had cracked. Bihar was restless. The ground beneath RJD's feet was beginning to shift. Bihar by now had become synonymous with lawlessness, extortion, and political criminalization. Roads crumbled, schools remained empty, industries fled, and electricity was a luxury. The state's decline was so steep that Bimaru, backward and sick, became a label stuck to Bihar's name. The disillusionment was sharpest amongst urban voters, upper castes, and the youth. And by the time Bihar went to polls in 2005, a political realignment had taken shape. Nitish Kumar allied with the BJP under the NDA banner. They campaigned on promises of Vikas, better governance, contrasting it with RJD's perceived misrule. In a fractured verdict, the February 2005 election led to a hung assembly, followed by President's rule. Fresh elections in October 2005 finally broke the deadlock. This time, the JDU-BJP alliance swept to power, decisively ending 15 years of RJD dominance. For the first time since 1990, Bihar saw a non-RJD government at the helm. Nitish Kumar's arrival in 2005 marked a turning point in Bihar's modern history. Where Lalu embodied identity politics, Nitish positioned himself as the harbinger of governance, earning the nickname Sushasan Babu. Armed with BJP's organizational muscle, Nitish launched an ambitious agenda. Better roads, functioning schools, restored law and order, and, importantly, empowerment for women. Crumbling highways were rebuilt, potholes vanished, and the police were unleashed on the mafia network that had flourished through the 90s. His boldest stroke came in education, hiring thousands of teachers, reopening classrooms, and pushing girls to schools with his new iconic cycle scheme. Soon the image of young women pedaling down village paths became shortened for a new Bihar. The transformation was reflected at the ballot box. In 2010 assembly elections, Nitish JDU, along with the BJP, won a thumping majority, 206 out of 243 seats. It was not just a victory, it was a rejection of the old Jungle Raj. Bihar had turned a corner. By 2013, Nitish Kumar faced his toughest political choice. When the BJP anointed Narendra Modi as its prime ministerial candidate, Nitish protested. For him, Modi carried the shadows of 2002 Gujarat riots and continuing with the BJP risked the Muslim support that had bolstered his rule. The alliance that had powered Bihar's turnaround for nearly a decade came undone. Nitish walked out, severing a 17-year partnership, but going solo proved costly. In the 2014 Lok Sabha elections, the JDU was wiped out, reduced to just 2 seats. A humbled Nitish accepted moral responsibility and stepped down, handing the Chief Minister's chair to Jitin Ram Majhi, a relatively unknown leader from the Mahadalit community. The experiment didn't last. Within months, Nitish orchestrated his own comeback, dislodging Majhi in 2015. But the episode left scars inside his party, exposing fractures that would resurface in later years. That same year, Nitish staged a stunning political comeback. In an extraordinary turnaround, he buried decades of rivalry with Lalu Prasad Yadav and joined forces with the Congress to form the Mahagathbandhan. What united them was a common goal: to halt BJP's advance in Bihar. The battle became a national spectacle. Modi crisscrossed Bihar with aggressive campaigning. But the ground reality told another story. Nitish's credibility as a reformer, combined with Lalu's caste arithmetic, created a formidable front. The verdict was emphatic. The Mahagathbandhan swept 178 out of 243 seats, handing the BJP a stinging defeat. For Nitish, it was vindication after the humiliation of 2014. For Lalu, it was redemption. And for Bihar, it was another reminder that no political script ever stays the same for long. But the partnership was uneasy from the start. Behind the scenes, tensions brewed, and those tensions would explode just 2 years later. By 2017, the cracks in the Grand Alliance had grown to widen. The flashpoint came when the CBI filed corruption charges against Tejaswi Yadav, Lalu's son and Bihar's deputy CM. Nitish, who had built his brand on clean governance, found himself cornered. Supporting Tejaswi risked his credibility. Demanding his resignation threatened the coalition itself. For weeks, the alliance teetered on the edge until Nitish made his choice. In July 2017, he resigned as chief minister, dramatically pulling the plug on the Mahagathbandhan. Within 24 hours, he was back, sworn in again, this time with the support of the BJP. The speed of the turnaround stunned even seasoned political watchers. For Nitish, it was survival dressed as pragmatism. For Lalu and the RJD, it was betrayal. For Bihar, it was another reminder that alliances here are as fragile as they are necessary. When Bihar went to polls in 2020, Nitish Kumar was no longer the commanding figure he had once been. Years of alliance shifts, the shadow of Lalu's enduring social base, and growing fatigue with his leadership had eroded his appeal. The NDA faced a spirited challenge from Tejaswi Yadav, who emerged as the new face of the RJD. At just 31, Tejaswi tapped into discontent over jobs and migration, drawing massive crowds across the state. The verdict told a new story. The NDA managed to retain power, but the balance had shifted. The BJP won 74 seats, while JDU slipped to 43, its worst performance in years. Chirag Paswan, who referred to himself as Modi's Hanuman, played a key role in downsizing JDU by contesting against it, but not against the BJP. Nitish still returned as chief minister, but now as a diminished partner, reliant on the BJP's strength to survive. It was a symbolic turning point. The man who had once rebuilt Bihar's image was now clinging to relevance, his political capital depleted. For the BJP, it was a clear sign that the junior partner had become the dominant force. In August 2022, Bihar politics witnessed yet another seismic shift. Nitish Kumar walked out of the ruling coalition with the BJP, rallying again with the RJD and the Congress to form a renewed Mahagathbandhan. The move was framed as resistance to the BJP's growing dominance, both in Delhi and in Patna. Tejasvi Yadav, Lalu's son, assumed the role of Deputy Chief Minister, emerging as the new face of Bihar's social justice politics. For a brief moment, the Lalu-Nitish alliance looked firmly re-established, blending governance with backward caste mobilization. But in early 2024, an unexpected strike again. In a flash, reminiscent of 2017, Nitish resigned once more, abruptly breaking the Mahagathbandhan, plunging the state into crisis.
एक बार बता तो देते कि हम नहीं रहना चाहते जहाँ, इस बार तो आपने कुछ कहा भी नहीं। सबसे बड़ा दल हमारा है, कम से कम एक बार बुला के बोल देना चाहिए कोनो आपको हम कुछ कहते हैं, आप बताइए हम आपको कुछ कहे हैं।
Within days, he realigned once more with the BJP-led NDA, triggering widespread political upheaval and raising questions about the stability of coalitions in modern Bihar.
पूरे तौर पर सब दिन इनके साथ रहेंगे और पूरे तौर पर जो कुछ भी है आज जिस तरह से भी ये करेंगे बहुत अच्छा है।
As Bihar heads into 2025 assembly elections, the political playing field is fraught and unpredictable. Nitish Kumar, once celebrated as Sushasan Babu, now carries the fatigue of 20 years of anti-incumbency and repeated U-turns. Meanwhile, Tejasvi Yadav seeks to inherit his father's mantle and present himself as the voice of a new generation. And the BJP, stronger than ever in Bihar, eyes the chance to claim power outright. Bihar's story since the 1990s has been one of cycles. Mandal versus Mandir, Lalu versus Nitish, alliance versus betrayal. At each turn, the state has mirrored India's larger democratic battles. The only certainty, as always, is that Bihar will decide its next chapter in its own restlessness, unpredictable way. Once more, the stage is set.
ड्यूलक्स है और उसकी वारंटी तो और भी शानदार, पेंट से भी शानदार वारंटी,
से शानदार पेंट,
से शानदार वारंटी,
से शानदार पेंट,
वारंटी।
ड्यूलक्स, डिसाइड करना मुश्किल हो जाएगा कि पेंट ज्यादा शानदार है या उसकी वारंटी।
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
Living my best life.
Mindfully crafted home decor fabrics. Sansar, a D-Decor brand. Live consciously.
Bliss. It teases, it soothes, and sometimes speaks without words. Experience bliss in all its forms with Hindwear. Hindwear, designed for bliss.
Hello, Moto. Do the Moto Moto.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
Every story finds a place. Every voice gets a platform. Every side has its say. Your channel for every headline. Prime Team on India Today, India's only democratic newsroom.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
Living my best life.
Mindfully crafted home decor fabrics. Sansar, a D-Decor brand. Live consciously.
Hello, Moto. Do the Moto Moto.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the true flagship killer.
Hi, here are the top headlines presented by Motorola. Bhupendra Patel, Cabinet Reshuffle. 25 ministers join Cabinet. Amit Shah meets Nitish Kumar in Patna. Discusses election strategy. Rahul meets family of Dalit lynching victim. Expresses concern over atrocities on Dalits.
Co-powered by the new Citroën Basalt X, Thrill Bhi, Style Bhi. Ajio All-Star Sale live now.
Hello and welcome. Social media has confirmed that there was a discussion on the welfare of fishermen with the Lankan Prime Minister. Important to highlight here that Chief Minister Stalin wrote a letter to Prime Minister Modi yesterday seeking that Prime Minister Modi in his meeting with the Lankan PM raised the issue of retreating Kachativa when Stalin said that fishermen were being harassed by Lankan forces and that too should be brought up. Let me bring in Anaga Keshav, who's joining us from Chennai. We also have Geeta Mohan, a Foreign Affairs editor, for more on this. Anaga, to you first. You know, we've seen this particular issue dominate politics in Tamil Nadu. And so with the meeting between Prime Minister Modi and the Lankan Prime Minister, just break down for us how crucial this particular meet is for the people of Tamil Nadu, particularly for the fishermen community. Anaga, can you hear me?
Well, Akshita, in fact, the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka has met with Prime Minister Narendra Modi at his residence in New Delhi. This comes at the backdrop of the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, M.K. Stalin, writing a letter to Prime Minister Modi by reiterating that he has written to him 11 times in the past and many a times to the External Affairs Minister, requesting the centre's intervention on the fishermen's issue. Chief Minister Stalin had once again requested the Prime Minister to discuss about the woes of fishermen, be it the releasing of fishermen or the releasing of those boats, those fishing boats that have been captured. That was the urge that was given by Chief Minister ahead of the meeting between the two Prime Ministers. And now it looks like the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, has indeed discussed on this particular issue with the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka regarding the welfare of fishermen from Tamil Nadu, releasing of the captured boats, and how these two countries can collaborate on a shared partnership and ensure that the fishermen of both these countries are protected.
Let me bring in our Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan for more details on that meeting. Geeta, the Prime Minister making a mention of the welfare of fishermen being discussed in that meeting. Do we have details of really what was brought up by India, particularly in light of Chief Minister Stalin raising this very issue, saying Indian fishermen are constantly harassed by Lankan forces?
Details on the joint statement still awaited, but yes, the messages and the tweets that have been put out, all regional bilateral issues between the two sides have been taken up. And remember, the summer of this year, Prime Minister Modi was in Sri Lanka for a bilateral visit, and these were areas that were covered even then. Fishermen's issue is very close to how India looks at certain concerns that it has, and it doesn't need reminding from anybody. But yes, every time the Prime Minister is meeting with his Sri Lankan counterpart or anyone from Sri Lanka, there certainly is a call for the issue of Kachetevu and fishermen's issue.
So no particular mention of Kachetevu really in that particular post by the Prime Minister. He has said, however, welfare of fishermen has been referred to. Thanks, Geeta. Thanks, Anaga, for those details. Let's cut across to more breaking news. And let's get you the latest updates coming in from Sabrimala, where there's been a huge controversy over that gold loot, and the gold plating on the Sabrimala Dwarapalika idols have been reinstalled. These are the idols right outside the Sanctum Sanctorum, from which the gold plating, over 4 kilos of gold, was missing. The footage on the right of your screens is from earlier today, from a few hours ago, when you had the gold plating being put back in. Remember that today you had the temple being opened up, and the darshan wasn't stopped, but you had work underway to go ahead and reinstall the gold plates that were found at a sponsor's relative's house. The sponsor, Unnikrishnan Potti, has now been taken into custody. That's his footage there on the left of your screens. He's been arrested by the CBI because there are serious questions really of what he's done with the gold. There are allegations now that he faces of having looted the gold from these Dwarapalika idols. Coming in right now, amid the gold loot controversy, the plates have been placed in the Sanctum Sanctorum. On the left of your screens is the images that came in earlier today of Unnikrishnan Potti being taken into custody. He's a Bengaluru-based businessman, one of the sponsors of the temple. And remember that for renovation work, the gold plates were removed and handed over to him. When it was brought back, it's found that about 4 kilos of gold was missing. He's been taken into custody now. Remember, the gold plates were missing and it was found at his relative's house. There have been various versions that he's been putting out, nothing really adding up or making sense, which is why he's been taken into custody now for questioning. The CBI also is looking into the details of this case. You've got an SIT that's been formed, and the SIT has also suggested a link between the accused and the Travancore Devaswam Board, which leads to worrying questions about exactly what's happened. So the SIT report to the Sabrimala gold loot case exposing serious allegations of a conspiracy of corruption as well. With the missing gold now recovered and the accused arrested, questions of accountability, of betrayal of faith loom large over Kerala's most revered shrine.
The Sabrimala gold loot scandal takes a dramatic turn. The SIT remand report now exposes serious allegations of conspiracy, corruption and misuse of faith. The SIT report names Devaswam board officials and Smart Creations as key enablers. The accused Unnikrishnan Potti allegedly faked a gold plating application. He removed idols illegally, transported them across states and extracted gold at Smart Creations. Most of it was kept for personal gain. Even donations taken for puja were misused. Devaswam Minister Vasavan defends the probe, claiming arrests were made in just 6 days.
അപ്പോൾ വളരെ പെട്ടെന്ന് ആയണ്ട് 6 ദിവസത്തിനുള്ളിൽ അവർ കൃത്യമായി കാര്യങ്ങൾ ഇടപെട്ടിരിക്കുന്നല്ലോ. അപ്പോൾ ഏതെങ്കിലും തരത്തിൽ കാലതാമസം വന്നതെന്ന് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. അല്ല, അവർ ഈ കാര്യത്തെ സംബന്ധിച്ചുള്ള അവരുടെ ആഗ്രഹം ഇത് പുറത്തു വരണം എന്നുള്ളതല്ല, അന്വേഷണത്തിൽ കുറ്റവാളികളെ പിടികൂടുന്നുള്ളതല്ല, അവർക്ക് രാഷ്ട്രീയ കാര്യങ്ങൾ മാത്രമാണ്.
The opposition wants the minister to resign. They call the arrest an eyewash.
This is becoming something that is unreasonable, intolerable, where the man who's accused of a crime, the minister accused of a crime, continues to be a minister and pontificate. The Devasam Board chairman who has converted the Devasam Board into a questionable organization, they should not test the patience of Hindu believers in the state. They should not.
It's nothing but an eyewash. Because, see, such a theft cannot happen without the connivance of the officials and the authorities, including the political elements. We are demanding that, first, the Devasam Board should be dissolved. Second, the Devasam minister should resign.
Unnikrishnan Poti, the key accused, was arrested and remanded to 30-day SIT custody. The missing gold has now been recovered. Stolen ornaments taken under mysterious circumstances reinstalled at the Sabrimala temple. The controversy dates back to 2019. Parts of the temple, including Dwarpalika idols, wooden panels and sanctum door frames, were sent for gold plating. A betrayal of faith, alleged corruption at the highest levels, and a daring gold heist spanning states. The Sabrimala gold scandal has left devotees shocked and questions about accountability unanswered. Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, let's move on.